Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. Welcome to another Wealth Wednesday. And we are here. I'm Brandi Davis, the Candlestick Queen. And we are here with our Mission Possible Worldwide CEO and founder, Mr. Gerald D. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, say hello to everyone for us.
Greetings, everyone from around the globe. I'm absolutely excited to be with you once again, with sitting next to and across from the one and only Miss Brandi Davis, the Candlestick Queen, on our Wealth Wednesday. Listen, uh, I believe we have some information that's going to challenge your thought process. Is going to put you in a position where you must be willing to unlearn everything that you learned thus far, and then ultimately relearn, but most importantly, continue to learn. And that's really why we're here this evening with Wealth Wednesday.
Yes, that's ultimately why we are here. And we're here tonight to talk about the big, beautiful bill. And so, Mr. Rogers, you being a having 30 years experience in the financial space. Am I correct when I say 30 years? 30 plus
Yes,
years experience
30
in the
plus
financial
years. Yeah.
space.
Mm-hmm.
So, with you having that many years of experience and all the things that you've seen and all the things that you've experienced and pertaining to economics and finance, what is the big beautiful bill? Why are people opposing it? Why are people for it? But let's first talk about what the big beautiful bill is.
Well, the big beautiful bill was legislation that was recently passed by the current House, Senate, as well as the president. It was his way of uh, watch this. In essence, it's not really a new bill. Most people don't realize it. It's actually a continuation specifically of the tax breaks
Mm-hmm.
that were initiated during the first Trump administration. And during that first Trump administration, those taxes that you and I are currently paying,
Mm-hmm.
right? It would have run out because the initial when the bill was initially passed, it was only for a 10-year time frame, and
Okay.
then it would revert back to the previous tax codes. And so the big beautiful bill really was to ensue that those tax that were the tax status that we're currently paying would be forever. And that's really what transpired. So many people don't even realize that they're already benefiting from the big beautiful bill. It was just an extension of that. And then there were some additional components that were added to it.
Uh-huh.
When you understand that, for example, those who are in the cash business, i.e., stylists, barbers, a lot of that revenue uh,
Waiters, waitresses.
goes unreported because obviously you can't track cash. And
Correct.
so um, the benefit of that was that you're not being taxed on tips. And that's for a short time period as well. But just imagine when you're looking at a capitalistic society, money fuels the economy. And because
Correct.
of many people's habits, when they have additional money, it filters back into the economy. And so it creates an ecosystem that everyone wins. So that's really the rudiments of the big, beautiful bill. Obviously, for many of us, specifically people of our skin hue, really don't understand
Hmm.
of the dynamics of the political landscape and understanding. And I want to be very clear. Many often people, and I tell people all the time, policies last forever.
Hmm.
Politics and parties change because some of the exact same political figures now, their position has changed on some of the things such as immigration and deportation.
Say that again
And
for us. Can you say that again? Parties. Say that again.
parties
Uh
and
huh.
politics will always change, but policies remain forever. So, policies are the grand differentiator between anything because policies last forever. People change their position all the time, they change their party affiliation all the time. But once that legislation is enacted, then it takes, watch this, an act of Congress to change the policy. So the very policies that many people have been feeling like they've been disenfranchised. And the biggest myth is simply this, that here in America, the Democratic Party is supposedly for poor people, which is absolutely ludicrous when you have all of the wealthiest people, right, who are part of the Democratic Party. I mean, look at all your entertainers. I mean, you're talking about the George Clooney's of the world. You're talking about the Robert De Niro's of the world. They can even remotely relate to the plight of the person who's living paycheck to paycheck. So it's time for people to wake up and realize that no one, I don't care what party you think you're beholden to, no one gets into politics to help people. Everyone gets into politics to protect and further their agenda. And honestly, it's only one party in America. It's the Green Party, right? Those who have the resources, those who have the gold will always make the rules. So it is absolutely ludicrous for some person to believe that the government is your friend. The government has never been your friend. As a matter of fact, even from a biblical perspective, Isaiah 9 says this: to us a child is born, and we shall call him Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, the everlasting Father. But here's the notion that people who have named the name of Christ have missed the boat. The government shall be upon his shoulders. In other words, your foundation of truth and morality has to come from the Creator himself. And when you are morally sound, then you will advocate judiciously regardless of the party affiliation. How do I know that to be true? We have numerous political figures who were in government but never bowed down to the government when it was compromising their stature and their position in their relationship with God. How do I know that to be true? Well, come, let's have Daniel testify. Daniel got thrown into the lion's den because he refused to go against his God. They put legislation in place to intimidate him. And what did he do? He didn't bow down. Neither did Ezra, neither did Nehemiah, neither did Joseph. So for all of those persons out there, specifically our pastoral congregation who've been beholden to the Democratic Party, your black pastors have been the demise of the body of Christ because they refuse to put their biblical prestige before their political affiliation and their cultural pet peeves. Buy the truth and sell it not. Have I not become your enemy because I tell you the truth? How in the world can a pastor, a black pastor, say he loved Jesus, but being an advocate for and questioning the very authenticity of God the Creator and advocating for transgenderism? God did not make any mistakes. He created male and female. And for those who are been spiritually manipulated, then guess what? The remedy is receiving Jesus Christ. Thou shalt be born again. Because when God created man, he took all woman out of him. God has made no mistake. And it's an affront to the Creator if we're around here pandering for political clout and not standing for the word of God. I'm gonna pause right there because I know we was talking about the big beautiful bill, but that coincides with understanding the power of legislation and lack thereof. Can I just be free today? Can I just?
I mean, you need to go ahead and just be free. You're free already.
It pains me, specifically in America, when it is absolutely insane to me. Let me just throw this out here for our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the two-party, we have a two-party system for the most part here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Democratic Party, and then we have the Republican Party. And it befuddles me to know that I believe that there are Caucasians in the Democratic Party. Am I correct about that?
That is correct.
Yeah. And I believe there are Hispanic individuals in the Democratic Party.
That is correct.
And I believe that there are people of color, particularly the black race, that are part of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
And then when we jump over to the Republican Party, there are Caucasians in the Republican Party. There are Hispanics in the Republican Party. But then if a man of color says he represents the Republican Party, then he's a sellout. How can that be? How can that be? That is absolutely crazy for someone in the middle class to misunderstand that 40% of all the taxes that are paid in the country are actually paid by the wealthy people. So something in your mind, for those of you who are listening, should ask a different question. What do I need to do to be in the top 5% of money earners in the world? Not waiting for someone to tell you what you're worth, right? So socialism and communism, it is the demise. And let's be honest. As difficult as people of color think this country is, why is it that everyone right now are trying to break into the country? If capitalism is so bad and what we have in America is so bad, then why are there, over the last 4 years, 20 plus million people who have broken the law and broken into this country? So that's what the big addresses as well. It adds additional border security to ensure that when people enter into the country, they enter into the country the right way. And listen, I'm not throwing off on anyone, but the reality is this. I think it's a travesty for Black America to always talking about reparations and what has happened over 200 plus years. Then you should be even more upset that people who have no rights in this country, as soon as they show up, the government funds their criminality. And the law says that you must enter the country through a specific way. And if you do not do that, you are breaking the law. That's just like somebody coming to your home and deciding that you live in this luxurious apartment or condo or home in a gated community, and they do not like the way they're living. And they say, you know what? I'm going to take residence in your home, and you have no choice but to let them. The first thing you're going to do is call the police and say somebody is trespassing in my home, and immediately you're going to get the benefit of the law of the land, and that person will be escorted off your property and go to jail. It is no different. So, I had to get that off my chest today.
I see. We see that needed to come off. It was sting. Yeah, and it is off now. It is off, but nonetheless, it is valid. It's a valid point. Those are valid points, and those are some of the things that we in the Black community, some things that just as people, period, we have been in this, and the reality of it is we have been in this schism where we're intentionally being divided, and we're not being allowed to think for ourselves. We're being told what to think. And so my question for the big beautiful bill is, what is some of the benefits that, if you are trying to be wealthy, if you are wealthy, if you're looking to build wealth in this particular dispensation in time, if you are looking to build wealth, how is the big beautiful bill beneficial to you?
Well, the big beautiful bill is a beneficial to everyone because it's a continuation of the tax codes that everyone has been participating in over the last 8 years. That's the beautiful part about it. And so when we don't understand, and unfortunately, they've removed American government civics out of the curriculums. And so we're completely blind. All we know is what we hear. We never take the time to do any research. And I think it's a wonderful thing to know that if you're at the top income code, your top taxes is, I believe, at 35%. If the big beautiful bill didn't pass, it would go up to 39%, right? And so the big
Mhm.
beautiful bill, if you are an entrepreneur or even a W-2 employee, the incentive is for working hard, right? The government takes less of your money. And and listen, if you are have the mental capacity and the physical capability, then scripturally, if a man doesn't work, then he should not eat. I don't believe there's anything wrong with having someone or requiring someone, and even if that individual is between hard times, I don't believe there's anything wrong with holding someone accountable, because government assistance is not a permanent life, right? That we should not be
That's right.
incentivizing people. In order for you to get a higher benefit, you have to have more children. That is the wrong
Yep.
behavior that has been incentivized, and it has hindered the growth of many communities, but specifically the African American, because now it fosters that entitlement mentality. And for someone like myself, who's a business owner, who's taking risk, I believe the person who takes the the most risk should receive the greater reward. I don't think it's fair to anyone to have worked, to going through the pains, going through the scrutiny, the ups, the downs, the losses, and not get the benefit of that. And that's really the incentive of being successful. Because if there's no incentive for you to work and everyone gets equal, it's not fair to those individuals. And naturally, we were created to move forward. We were created to have dominion. So it's something on the internal side of us that'll never let us quit. And we have to get back to that place. And historically, the Black community was more resilient, more connected, more together during Jim Crow era and segregation, because we knew we had to show up, we had to work, and community was truly community at that point. And we were not dependent upon anyone, because the government wasn't there. And in God's economy, our source is God anyway. So we should never be dependent upon that. That's the one of the reasons why God uh, uh, promoted the children of Israel out of Egypt, because they were in bondage. Government, being dependent
Yep.
upon the government for your subsistence, your livelihood, keeps you in bondage and keeps you in the realm of mediocrity. So that's the beautiful part from my perspective about the big beautiful bill.
Now you said a couple of things that um I just want to highlight, because even with the big beautiful bill, and you said some things that stuck out as far as the African American community, Black people being on public assistance, but statistically we are not the ones that benefit mostly from SNAP benefits and public assistance. We're not the ones that benefit the most from it. But you said some other things that ties into that, where there used to be a point in time where we did have pride in our our economic status. We did have pride in um, our households being built up and the family unit being built up. And so when we look at those things, and when we talk about, especially for people of color, people that are African American, when we look at those things, there has been a systematic approach to making sure that we're not benefiting from certain things, whether it be through lack of education, or it be through, which is mostly how this is taking place, or it be, and this is going to be another a topic and another video, guys. This is going to be going into another video, because this looks like this is going to be a series. But it's been a systematic approach to making sure that we don't have the information or the resources that's needed to make sure that our communities are built up the way they need to be built up. And it has been through improper education. It has been through lack of resources. Because let's be clear. Let's just say this. There was a time we had Black Wall Street, and that was torn down. But there has been other things, and this is going into the other videos that we're going to be highlighting. There has been other things that has happened within our communities that has nothing to do with outside people, and the demoralizing of our communities has not been outside people doing it, but it's been people from within our own communities. Like you said, the pastors that have been those Black pastors that have been in cahoots with government systems and parties to make sure that Black people stay in check. You stay right here. You don't get educated. You make sure I'm positioning you as the slave owner, or as the person that's going to be to make sure that they stay in check. And so when you say that, I totally agree with, the benefits and everything, but there has been a systematic approach to making sure that people of color do not have certain resources. Now, let me say this. That is not an excuse for us not doing well. That is not an excuse, because there are people that are doing well every single day. We have to make sure that we are not buying into the lie that has been presented to us from these so-called people that are supposed to be representatives of our communities. I just wanted to say that.
Well, and that's an excellent point, because you mentioned the system. Every system is operating the way it's supposed to. Our educational system is not an educational system. It's a system of indoctrination. Because when you think about education is designed to empower and to lift up, right? So,
yes.
And then specifically in America, we have a memory system. We don't have a mastery system, right? Everything about our system here is designed for you to maximize your short-term memory to pass a test, right? And we all know that passing a test doesn't necessarily equate to mastery, right?
That's right.
Doesn't equate to mastery, because when you think about, here we are, it's 2025, and we are still promoting people to go and get an education, to go to college, to get a good job, right? The plantation is the job, right? Because if you're not owning anything, I don't care what level of expertise you've been able to accomplish, what your degree status is, money governs everything in the universe. Yes. And those who have the goal will always make the rule. And it amazes me that when people talk about racism, right? Racism is another total lie, because if racism is universal, then what's happening to the people in China? Right? They're all the same race. What's happening to the people in Korea?
That's good.
They're all the same race. And so this whole thing that race is color centric, it's a lie, and it's used particularly in America to keep people at bay. It reminds me of the same system that was happening during the biblical days when you had the Sanhedrin Council, and then you had the high priest, and the high priest was the intermediary between the people and the government. And Caiaphas particularly was very crafty. He would use the legal aspect of the Torah to keep the people in check. However, to stay in power, they were always connected to the government. Fast forward today, and we have that same nuance today. It is the exact same system that is happening today when you look at what's happening in America in particular, right? So the scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that was happening in biblical times are now happening right now. because
You're absolutely
it's
right.
called the principle of first truth, right? When we hear something based on the person who shares it with us, we automatically assume that it's true because the thought process is, this is my mother, this is my pastor. They would never
Lie to
tell
me.
me misinformation,
Right.
right? But it's always going to be based on their perception. And so when you look at it, I have a whole theory of how the most prestigious place in America at some point was becoming a pastor, because at that time when it was prevalent, you had many men of color, because they didn't have any respect or any authority in their communities or in society. The only place that they could have absolute authority was to become a pastor. Watch this. They weren't called of God, but the prestige came because the government recognized that they could influence the leaders to control the community. And even
Yep.
our great one, the one that many people
Come on.
acknowledge as the leader of the civil rights movement,
Civil rights
Dr. Martin
movement.
Luther King himself,
That's
he
right.
was not called of God. As
Come
a matter
on.
of fact, he questioned the deity of Christ. And many
That's
people don't
right.
know this. And then to take it a step further, his political affiliation, he was not a part of the Democratic Party, right?
Come
And
on.
to add to that, because we don't understand legislation, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was not the first civil rights act that was passed. It was
Come
many
on.
more that had passed previously. So listen, when you don't know the game, when you don't know the rules of the game, you find yourself in bondage, perpetual bondage, like the people of color are, right? It is absolutely amazing to know that. Let's talk about a city that you're akin to, Chicago, right?
Now,
You have
I'm
a mayor, you have a
okay.
mayor who has many of his constituents from the south side of Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yet parks have been shut down, and you call yourself a sanctuary city, and your community has been depressed, oppressed, suppressed for decades, and you found it a badge of honor to assist people who haven't paid into the system, who
My
haven't put
God.
one dime into the system, but yet they're making more withdrawals than the people who, whatever contribution they made, they have contributed to the system, and they don't get any benefits of the system. That is absolutely ludicrous, and it's egregious to the common thought process of someone who says that they are for humanity. What say you? What say
What you want
ye?
me to say? I mean, that's weighty. that's that's weighty, and I agree that we have seen a lot of, when it comes to that particular city and other cities that are supposed to be safe haven cities for immigrants. In particular, let's use the right terminology: illegal immigrants. Um, the people of those cities are not benefiting. The people of those regions, the people of those areas are not benefiting, and it has not been profitable for them. And like you said, they cannot um, benefit. They can't get some of the resources that these people who, like you said, have not paid into the system, they cannot benefit from. They're not benefiting from these resources, and so it's unfair. And as you said, egregious to the people of those cities. But we're going to continue this conversation because this can go on and on and on. But this was just to talk about a little bit and to shed light on the big beautiful bill and how everybody is actually unaware, truly unaware. People, are, the fear mongering is in the media. You have the extreme left, and you do have the extreme right. You have just people, spewing everything, but nobody is actually giving out what things actually are, because everybody wants to make their side the winning side. And so we, as the people that are in the middle, just want to know the truth. We want to know what's going on, what's happening, how does it benefit us, and should we be participating, should we not be participating? And We need to know what's going on. And so that's what this was on today, guys, was giving a highlight of the big beautiful bill, what it is, how it benefits you, why you want to at this particular place in time want to be you want to participate, and you want to have a mindset of wealth building. And so, Mr. Rogers, before we go, before we close out this Wealth Wednesday, do you have anything that you would like to add before we close out?
Listen, Ms. Davis is going to leave in the caption on how you can be a part of our community so that you can participate and be an active participant. And listen, there's no such thing as a recession. You know, we can give you access to an industry that produces $7.5 trillion every single day. And the Candlestick Queen herself is going to guide you with some of the strategies that she's created. Listen, plug in. If you want to be a part of that 5%, right? Listen, the 5%ers, the wealthy 5%ers. Let me be very clear. The wealthy 5%ers, because money answers all things. Listen, stay tuned, stay posted so you can connect with us via social media and all the platforms that we represent.
Absolutely. So, guys, that is the end of this session. We will be back next week. I'm going to make sure that you have the information that you need to make sure that you plug in with us. Get in. We are doing a funded challenge right now. You want to make sure that you're part of our funded challenge. So, plug in with us, impossiblew.com. We're going to leave all the information that you need so that you can be a part with us, walk this journey with us with like-minded individuals. So, that's our Wealth Wednesday. We love you, and we will see you next week. Peace out. Bye.